Rio wakes up surrounded by clouds, standing before an angel. The angel begins by telling him that he has recently died, yet he won't be heading to the afterlife just yet. In short, Rio has become the latest victim of the infamous truck. Now it's up to Michael to send him off to a new world to begin a fresh life. According to Michael, Rio won't be given any special mission or grand objective in this new world. He's free to live as he pleases. When Rio expresses his desire for a peaceful and laid-back life, Michael has no objections. But before sending him off, Michael needs to give Rio a quick overview of the world he'll be reincarnated into. The world is called Phi, a magical land where about 20% of the population can use spells tied to their natural elemental affinity. In Rio's case, his strongest affinity is with the water element. Since Rio asked for a peaceful and laid-back life, Michael went ahead and prepared a cozy little house for him. As a starter kit, he included 2 tutorial books, a knife, and even placed a protective barrier around the house to keep monsters at bay. As part of his beginner's kit, Michael has provided Rio with an ice house stocked with enough food to last 2 months, ensuring he won't face hunger anytime soon. Additionally, Michael included a guidebook containing detailed information on every monster Rio might come across in the region. While this will be useful for dealing with the forest's creatures later, Rio's current focus is on testing out his newfound magical abilities. He steps outside and shouts the spell, "Water, water, come forth," which instantly forms a sphere of water in his hand. Magic turns out to be much simpler than he imagined. Even more surprising, he can cast the same spell just by visualizing the water ball. So, saying the incantation isn't actually required. Now that he's confirmed he can use magic, he heads straight to the bathhouse and begins filling the tub with water. However, he quickly notices a problem. He only knows how to produce water, and there's no way he's going to enjoy a bath that isn't hot. So, he goes outside and tries to build a fire to heat the water manually. The only issue is he has no clue how to start a fire this way. After a while, he gives up and lies on his back in defeat. But as he stares up at the sun, an idea hits him. Rio grabs a basin, fills it with water, and begins focusing on it, trying to compress it while drawing out the heat. Slowly, ice starts to form. With a bit more effort and practice, he manages to shape the ice into a makeshift magnifying glass. Using it, he harnesses the sunlight to start a fire. With the fire finally going, he heats up his bath, which was filled with ice water. By the end of his first day, he's finally able to unwind and enjoy a proper soak. Now that he's mastered making ice, Rio realizes the opposite should also be possible. If he can remove heat to freeze water, he should be able to add heat to create warm water. This becomes his next goal, something he'll need to practice in the coming days. The following morning, as Rio eats breakfast, he starts to think. With only 2 months' supply of food from Michael, he knows he'll need to hunt soon to restock. But he doubts a mere knife will be enough to fend off the forest monsters. So, he resolves to begin practicing his attack magic. His first attempt is launching a water ball at a tree, and it works exactly as he imagined. But a small splash of water won't do much in a real fight. He remembers a way to increase the water's force, so he gathers another ball, this time compressing the water into a focused point for more pressure. The idea is sound, but his control isn't strong enough yet. His water jet barely has more power than a toy water gun. Rio recalls something Michael mentioned before his reincarnation. Magic relies heavily on imagination. The clearer the image in his mind, the better the result, and he just needs to keep refining it through practice. After several days of non-stop training, Rio's water jets are starting to take shape and look decent. However, they're still far from powerful enough to take down a monster. Rio has also figured out how to produce hot water, allowing him to enjoy warm baths whenever he likes. However, he's still working on fine-tuning the temperature, as his control isn't quite perfect yet. The next morning, he decides to practice his ice magic once more. This time, he attempts to conjure ice directly from the air, though it's difficult and takes nearly 3 minutes to form. He finally succeeds in creating ice out of nothing. However, unlike water, he struggles to launch it with the same ease. Combat training hasn't been going too well so far. None of the spells Rio has come up with have had much impact. Still, he spends the next few hours pushing himself, practicing non-stop until he finally collapses from mana depletion. Figuring he's reached his limit for the day, he calls it quits. But the very next morning, as soon as his mana is fully restored, he jumps right back into training. This routine becomes Rio's daily life over the next few weeks. Thanks to all his hard work, he can now create ice instantly, making it a reliable offensive spell. With his new set of attack magic finally ready and his food supply starting to run out, Rio ventures into the forest for the first time to begin hunting. He quickly notices a set of animal tracks and decides to follow them, which leads him to a nearby river. While exploring the area, he comes across some quartz by the riverside, something he can use to start fires by striking it against the edge of his sword. He also takes the opportunity to collect some detox herbs, just in case he needs them later. But suddenly, a deep growl rumbles from behind him. When he turns around, he finds himself face to face with a lesser boar, and he freezes in place. The boar charges at Rio, but this is his first life or death battle, so he panics. At the last possible second, he snaps to his senses and leaps sideways, barely dodging the beast's rush. However, the boar isn't finished. It turns, ready to attack again. Luckily, Rio's mind clears just in time. As the boar charges toward him, he swiftly creates an icy path beneath its hooves, causing it to slip. Without wasting a moment, he summons several sharp ice spikes directly in the boar's path, stabbing it and killing it instantly. After butchering the boar, Rio pulls out the monster guidebook to learn more about it. According to the book, the lesser boar is actually the weakest monster found in that forest. The guide itself is clearly intended for beginners, so most of the listed creatures are fairly simple. However, toward the end of the book, Rio notices 2 additional pages that stand out. They look like they might contain something important. One of the pages describes dragons, immensely powerful creatures capable of wiping out entire cities by themselves. The guide strongly advises fleeing immediately if he ever comes across one, as fighting it would be hopeless. That said, outrunning a dragon isn't likely either, so running into one is game over. Another page mentions mysterious beings called Akuma, apparently a type of fallen angel. However, the book offers very little information about them. The book's only advice is simple: if you ever encounter one, you're as good as dead.